Hey guys, we are here today for another episode of the Dyno Report. Doing some more handling, but this time at the front. We've got the Eurosport lower front brace that we're gonna be testing out. I'm really interested to see how this does because we've got a really beautiful front-rear balance going on to get some amazing rotation in the car. So adding some stiffening at the front, especially in front-wheel drive, it's a little iffy. But we're gonna try it out. I've kind of been eyeing this for a while and it looks super fun to try, at least to get some stiffening in the front. So before we go too far and before we get this installed, we're gonna tell you where we're at right now.
So what I've focused a lot on recently is upgrading the rear of the car. Because in front wheel drive, you wanna bring that rear around to create really good rotation in the car, low speed, high speed, whatever it is. We've got that going really well for the car right now. So this front brace is gonna be something that's just a little bit different. I'm interested to see how it affects the front rear balance that I've got going on because I've got two stiffening items at the back and they're working really, really well. And then I've got that subframe locking collar kit, which has really sharpened everything up. But I wanna see how stiffening the front will do. It's gonna be very interesting to see. Now, we're coming up to a corner right now and you can just see, we're just chilling, but this thing just turns. It does so incredibly well around turns. It's kind of mind-blowing. We're working on the power to match, but this does incredibly well in the turns, and it's so fun on these tires. It's so fun with the upgraded rear sway bar. I absolutely freaking love it. Just stiffening the chassis in general is gonna be something that will be really, really fun to play with. I know it's another handling mod. We've done a lot of handling mods and that's okay. We're just setting this car up for such good success when we do finally start adding power, because trust me, it's happening. It might actually be happening pretty soon. I'm very excited getting ready for that. We've got a little bit of an issue to figure out with the power. We're working on that. We'll keep you updated on that as we go, right before we get the ECU tune that is going to give us some of the power we need. But right now, this is another handling video. Now, I know I've talked about it a ton, so I'm not gonna belabor the point, whatever that word is, belabor, belittle, something with a B. I'm not an English major. I was a video major, so that's why we're here. But the front of the car feels incredibly crisp and sharp right now for almost any turn I take. It really does feel like you're riding on rails and it's just guiding you along, and it's so hard to break traction on this car. Now, I've had them in a parking lot, almost full lock, doing about 40, and that's when you kind of start to feel it skip almost a little bit as it's getting traction, finding it, back end's kicking out, but that's also a very, very patchy surface, so I'm not gonna say too much more on just kind of that feeling, because I know that surface is not good for driving whatsoever, that parking lot that I did that in. But you're out here on the road and you're just chilling. Like, I'm going way faster around this than I should be. Calm as a cucumber. There is no drama to that whatsoever, and it just, this car's so good. I know overall I want to get this car really, really stiff. I want it so it is just darting through turns and just absolutely carving up mountain roads. It's got enough power to do that at the moment, but I really want this thing to be incredibly refined, incredibly sharp, very stiff, but also not so uncompromisingly stiff that it's undrivable, but that it's actually improving the handling qualities of this car. And it's got a really good front end. Stiffening it, I think will, I don't know, I'm a little hesitant on this one. This is one of the first ones that I've been eyeing it, but I'm kind of hesitant to see kind of what it's like, because we're gonna go through some of these turns. And this thing just grabs whatever you want it to do. It just sits there and grabs the road, and it is so good. I don't really know what it's gonna do. I don't really know how much more there is to say about the handling characteristics of this car, because I've kind of beaten a dead horse at this point. Talked about it so much. But the difference about this is that's all based on the rear and the rear stiffening that we've done. But now we're doing some stiffening at the front, and it's gonna be a very interesting review once I start getting into that, because it's gonna be something I haven't really done before. So we're gonna see how that turn-in feels, whether that body roll really is as reduced as they say, if I've disrupted the balance that I really like on this car. So I mean, other than that, I don't know what else to say, but let's go get this thing in. I'm very excited. I kind of think it's gonna be stupid easy. Remove 2 bolts, bolt them back in with this in place. But we're gonna go put this in, this Eurosport lower front brace, and we are gonna see if handling is better.
So we have just installed the lower front brace, and we're gonna take it back out and test it. But if you want to watch the full install video on this brace, please find it on my YouTube channel. Anyways, back to the car.
So I know one of the best ways to get handling out of a front wheel drive car is to stiffen the rear, but then you gotta stiffen the front at some point too. You gotta make this car crazy stiff. That's what I wanna go for at least. I've actually found it is so stiff right now that when I jack up the front tire to do anything on the engine on the inside like that, like I just changed the pulley, and the back wheel goes up, there's no flex in the chassis whatsoever. The entire side goes up. Even if I'm at the very front of the front wheel, the whole side just goes up together. There is no chassis flex right now, but that is exactly what we want with this car. And I will say that this front brace, it works very differently from what I was anticipating. I was anticipating it taking some of that rear, almost rear wheel passive steering feel from the back and eliminating it, but it actually works in tandem with it beautifully. So instead of the rear kind of almost feeling like you're hanging it loose the entire time and it's coming around the car as if, like I said, there is rear wheel steering of some sort, it has actually kept that level of connection at the rear that you have, but increased the stability at the front. Whatever this combination is, there's some motorsport setups terms that you can use and someone can really fine tune it to make it better, but this setup right now with the stiffening at the front and the stiffening at the rear is actually incredible. The stability in corner is just absolutely insane. I had this thing going probably 35, 40 miles an hour, full lock, tried it both ways in a parking lot, and it is darn near impossible to get this car to skid now. It's crazy, it really is. I mean, seriously, the turning capabilities of this car are just insane now with the tires we've got going, with the chassis stiffening, everything. Oh, it really is sublime, and this front brace is exactly what we needed to get that precise front rear balance. Now I kind of like a car a little bit more on edge on the front like Max Verstappen does, just because that's kind of the car I've driven. It's a very understeery car. I had a Jetta and an Audi Quattro. They both like understeer, and I've just gotten used to it. I've just been able to connect and feel the car a little bit more with front wheel drive and a little bit more understeer, kind of knowing exactly where those wheels are and can counteract any liftoff oversteer, any Scandinavian flick slide fairly easily, just because that's what I'm experienced with. And I really do like it. It really is so much fun to drive now. And on a side note, the Sigma 6 shifter is actually breaking in and smoothing out even more. It's so nice. This car genuinely is becoming something I really do want to drive all the stinking time. The shifts are great. The power delivery is phenomenal. The turning is incredible. And these tires too, bringing it together. But the Eurosport front brace is definitely a must buy for this Mark 6 GTI. And it's actually a fairly reasonable price. I got it on sale, which is extra nice. But for what it is and how you install it and how easy it is and how simple it is and just the price, it is a no-brainer. But I will say, have an upgraded rear sway bar at minimum first, because this car is prone to understeer already. And if you stiffen that front, it's just gonna make it that much more prone to understeer. So you've really gotta make sure that the rear end of this car is sufficiently stiffened before you do anything at the front. And if you've got coilovers, I bet that would suffice and do very well. But definitely this works better in conjunction with other mods than it does alone. If you've got a base GTI right now, don't get this yet. Go for a rear sway bar, go for a rear brace, something to reduce that understeer in the first place, and then reintroduce it just a touch with this Eurosport bar. It works so well, gives you so much grip and confidence in the turns, so much traction. The thing that comes to my mind with all of this is with the rear interior brace that I had, with the upgraded rear sway bar from ECS, the back end of the car was almost leading the charge around the turn. The back end was almost, you felt like it was kind of coming around behind you, like ahead of you. Like it was almost 2 or 3 degrees further down the turn than you were. And the front end was kind of a little bit loose and airy. But putting this front brace back on, the front is back in charge. No, I shouldn't say back on, just putting this brace on in general, the front is back in charge. The front is telling the car where to go. It is sticking the nose in, and all those tires are just sucked to the ground by the stiffening on the inside, and it just stinking goes. I absolutely love what this front brace has done to this balance. I really kind of had a lot of fun hanging the tail out a little bit. I got a lot of lift-off oversteer, especially in slightly damp conditions, and that was fun. But this is a better driving experience. Having a little bit more of the balance back towards the front is a much better driving experience for this car than hanging the tail out a little bit. Yeah, that's fun, but the speed at which you can take turns now, the confidence, just everything about it makes this front brace so worth it. I mean, you go around any of these turns, anywhere around Warner Robins, there's not too many, unfortunately, but this car is just planted. There is zero body roll. We're at the point where there is zero body roll. It's crazy. We're coming into some turns here, and it's not a lot of lock on the steering wheel, you can see, but we are cruising through these turns right now, and this car just sticks. A little bumpy, but oh. And then hit the brakes. Ooh, yeah, brakes do good. Oh, this setup is just spectacular. I really was concerned, and I really was a little bit worried that putting some stiffening at the front would ruin what I had going on, but I can confidently say that it has made this car that much better. Every little thing, like I keep saying over and over and over, just makes that car better. Like, what even is that? That's just bananas right now. I can't even begin to describe just how good that feels and how sticky this car is in every single turn we throw at it. Like, it really is just mind-boggling. There is a lot more vibrations considering how much we've done to this car. There's actually a lot, but that stiffening just helps give you a better contact patch and a better feel for how the road is underneath your tires. If you really like to understand what the road is doing, where your tires are, then you want to be a little bit stiffer. You want to know exactly where everything is, how it's all moving underneath you, so you can really keep control of the car and react appropriately. So while yes, there is a lot of vibrations, it's not unbearable. It's actually still pretty tame, all things considered. But this front brace just gives you just that much easier steering. The car just turns in and goes. It's not so much a better bite on turn in, but it's just darty. It just, like, I can't even keep up with the car sometimes. I turned and it just kept going even though I was going way too fast for what it should have been doing, and it just sent it. It wasn't even prepared for that. I thought I was giving it the appropriate amount of turn, and I turned a little too much. There might be a little bit of a look on my face. That'll be worth it though. Oh my goodness. So stinking fun. Overall, this brace does exactly what you want it to do. Even though they tell you to really stiffen the rear, you gotta do a little bit at the front to make sure that the balance is appropriate, that you've got the feedback and information from the control arms and the steering rack directly into your steering wheel, and that bite and that grip to really make use of the sway bar and stiffening at the rear. So you've gotta get this if you are serious about your handling and your MK6 GTI and making sure you're getting every ounce of turning capability this car has. So go get it, guys. It is fan-flippin-tastic. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Have a great day. And remember, Jesus loves you. Bye.